Okay, so I actually decided at the last second that I wanted to add another practice in here. And this practice is going to do two things. It's going to give you the chance to practice converting a functional stateless component to a class-based component again. It's also going to give you a chance to add state to a component. And then I have kind of an additional challenge here that covers something we haven't quite talked about yet, which is conditional rendering, but I want you to just give it a shot. Use your intuition, and if you're wanting to do any kind of Google search, you're welcome to do that too. And we are going to cover this soon, but I figured this would be a good chance for you to exercise your problem-solving skills. So given the component here, change it to a stateful class-based component. Give the state a property called isLoggedIn, which should be a Boolean, either true or false. And that's the first part. If you can do that, that's awesome. But then I want you to give it a shot at rendering the word in if the state isLoggedIn is true, or the word out if it's false. So go ahead, give this a try. Okay, so the first part we should be able to do relatively easily. We need to change our functional component to a class-based component. So I will add class here. I'm going to get rid of my parentheses. Add extends react.component. My return needs to be returning inside of a method of some sort. So I'm going to add my render method and move my return inside. Okay, and then if I'm going to add state to it, I will need to make sure I have a constructor which calls super. And I add a property called state on this.state equals an object. We know that object needs to have a property called isLoggedIn. We will initialize it as true. You were able to get to this part. That's awesome. Great job. The next thing is making it so that it renders the word in here if isLoggedIn is true, or out if it's not. And again, we're going to cover this when we talk about conditional rendering in a few lessons. But one way that we may decide to do this is to maintain a variable that looks at the current version of isLoggedIn and has a string that represents the word that should be displayed here. That display logic, as I've mentioned, I like to do inside my render method, but above my return. And so I'm going to maybe initialize a variable called word display and do a simple if-else statement that says if this.state.isLoggedIn is true, word display should be the word in. Otherwise, word display should be out. Finally, down here, instead of having both in and out here, I'll put curly braces because I'm interpreting JavaScript inside of my JSX. I will simply put word display. Now notice that word display is just a local variable to the render method. I don't need to put this.state.wordDisplay or this.props.wordDisplay because it is neither a prop nor a piece of state. Now when I refresh this, I get you are currently logged in, and that happens because isLoggedIn is true. And if I change this to false, tell me I'm logged out. We're going to see more concise ways to actually do this, but this is a totally legitimate way. And in fact, I believe this is the way that the React docs tell you to do this. One thing I like to do, if my variable is clearly named to be a Boolean, like is logged in, I'm just going to get rid of my triple equals true, because that will already either be true or false. And that's it. So once again, please go back, try to redo this yourself, see if you can do it from scratch, even delete the entire file and see if you can write everything from scratch once again. Repetition is really going to help you get the syntax down as muscle memory so that you can focus more on problem solving. Once you feel pretty good about this, let's go forward.